right, guys. Welcome to this.
That's great.
Welcome to this.
It feels good to
All
hear
right.
that. Yeah.
You know what? Because we don't even have a name for this yet.
No, I feel like that's something to play with.
But can I give you the premise?
Yeah,
And we're not going to get it right into it right away.
Yeah.
Well, first off, guys, Adam Christopher, everybody. One of the best comedians in New York City.
Thank you.
Come on.
Oh, that's weird. I just got like a sinking nice, like I'm about to tear up.
Come on.
And
No.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you don't know who he is, be sure to check him out on Instagram. He's also got a great web series of his own called Top 5, and that is just so fun. And it's a very great depiction of you and your style of comedy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, kind of like where your head's at, to dive into like your world. It's a great look at that. Adam's one of my best friends in comedy. He's one of the first people I met out here. Literally, like day one, I met this guy, and I was like, I fucking love this dude.
Oh, yeah.
We used to run a comedy show together at the Comedy Shop. We sold out every show. We did it like 7 or 8 times. Sold them all out. It was called Pure Fruit Comedy. It was a blast. And all good things come to an end. But you never know with us. You never know. So that's something that could be to look out for in the future.
Oh yeah.
But nevertheless, we're both still trucking along, still doing our own thing, and it's great to have you here.
Yo,
today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been recorded conversing with another person with microphones in front of me, and Papa's hungry.
Dude, I was very excited to text you because I was like, dude, Adam needs to come on this podcast.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Well, because the premise of this pod ultimately is. So Patty and I were talking. Patty, if you guys are listening, Patty is my producer, one of my best friends as well. And me and him were talking today about like what we could do as like a pod. Like, what do you think would be like a good product to kind of like push? One of the things I'm very passionate about is traveling. So I like getting out there. I like going to meet new people, go to different places, and then I like to come back. And you know me, like I'm on stage, I'm telling stories, and they're all true stories about the funny things that happen to me while I'm away in these places. But what I think this pod could be, and what I think would make it special, is having comedians that have life experience in traveling, and people who have gone abroad and have like different stories to like talk about, and and then also kind of like pick a place that like maybe we've both been to or a place we've never been to, and kind of talk about what we would do if we went there, and kind of like look up like places to see, things to do. So kind of like an informational, like funny way of like talking about traveling the world.
Yeah,
pretty much is what I
That's
think
fun.
we're going for. Yeah,
That's fun because it could excite like one's own interest in travel as well.
yeah, and that's why I think the goal is to kind of just like get people like listen to a podcast that's not just like a jokey joke, like exchange, but more so something that like is funny, but also like informative about like if you had questions about going to Iceland, you know what I mean? And like if we have like a show about an episode about like going to Iceland, you watch that and you're like, hey, those guys are funny. Maybe I'll check out their comedy, but also I'm gonna go to fucking Iceland.
Yeah.
I want to check these fucking places out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have you on today first because a lot of people don't know this about you, but because you don't really, because Adam, guys, he's the funniest fucking guy ever, but like he's also like very to himself in regards to his personal life. Like he does not, and that's where you shine. You have proven that you don't need to really get personal by being personal. You can be personal by just talking about anything else.
Yeah.
And your funniness shines through that, which is what I love about you.
Yeah, thank you.
But a lot of the stories that you like, sometimes Adam and I will be like talking about like something, and then he'll throw in like a little like anecdote about like, oh yeah, one time that happened to me while I was DJing in like Australia. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So that's why you popped into my head today, because I was like, Adam's got to have some crazy like travel stories and stuff. But before we get to that, I just wanted to like catch up with you. I haven't seen you in a minute.
Oh yeah, man.
Life's been good?
Life has been great.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter how I feel about it. It's just been great.
Yeah. That's good.
Like, like I'm saying, like in terms of like emotions will always fluctuate, but the way my life is and how I'm living it's very lovely. Like it's very balanced. I get like a healthy amount of stress, but I get to like feel that and just like remind myself that it's okay, and just like sort of ease into just feeling it as its own thing and not trying to define, oh, it's because of this. I think that's like what really keeps the mind in a place of suffering. is if you're trying to just like label all these like because the feelings are weird, and language is also so abstract. So when you're like, oh, I'm sad or something, it's like, yeah, but you're not just that too. There's like so many layers to whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
That like I'm just happy to be in an open frame of mind and heart to just experience like, oh, this is what life feels like.
Yeah.
This is like how it feels. Like sometimes it's like, yeah, all right, and then seemingly most of the time it's like,
do I want to jump off that
or
bridge?
like just this sort of numb. Yeah. Well, there's a thought. Yeah. But then I think all that too is like it just creates contrast. So like when something cool happens, you get to really appreciate how cool this thing is. And I just I'm really at a very content, I would say, because I feel like this notion of pursuing happiness is there's a huge fault in it. Because it makes you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough to provide happiness for myself. I'm like, yo, happiness is like a moment. Like you're destined to feel happy at some point. It could look like a bag of jalapeno Cheetos. It could be someone special in your life. You know, it's just like such a range of like where happiness, this idea of happiness could come from. But I feel like content is like the goal. And I'm very much in a content place within myself. And then that makes me actually happy for like a moment. I'm like, oh shit,
yeah,
dude, that's great. Because then observing other people or interacting with other people, like, yo, mad people are like suffering, and a lot of times like the suffering is coming from their own making, and like that's a hard loop to get out of. Yeah. But I think just over time, you just naturally like shed those layers, and you're like, oh, I didn't have to sustain this feeling for so long or like make it worse, you know, like and yeah, that's where I'm at. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, of course.
How have you been?
I've been good, dude. Anyway, what'd you do today?
Just Golden Corral, like as usual.
I just go, I'm good. Yeah.
Move along.
No, I've definitely been good. But before I get to that, yeah, I totally see what you're saying. I also think, and maybe you think this too. I guess my question is, like, do you think that living in New York City, allows you to kind of like, in a way, feel all of those emotions? Because people in Des Moines, Iowa, are not like waking up going like, ooh, like, I feel rushed today. I feel creative. I don't know. Like, you feel creatively inspired. Like, I'm from South Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whenever I go home, like, I'm going home on Sunday for 3 weeks for the holiday vacation.
Oh, sick.
Whenever I'm home and I'm doing comedy there, I don't want to be doing comedy there. Like,
you just want to exist as a person.
Well, because comedy over there, it doesn't really exist there. There's no strife. Like, there's nothing going on. Everything's fine. It's like, why? It's like, yeah, I could go to this open mic tonight, but I could just say, fuck that open mic and go hang out on the beach and go drink a beer.
Because I'm in South Florida.
I'm in South Florida. It's fucking beautiful out. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to walk outside and remember to bring my North Face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I feel like New York just has a way of putting pressure on a person.
I feel like New York as an environment really just entices one's ego. And
right.
Consider people that aren't from here.
Right.
That come here. Like I'm from here, so like I see how many like people are coming from other places to live here, and it's like this big goal. So already like that, like the reason why people are coming out here is because they want to make something out of themselves or whatever the goal may be. But it's like there is a correlation of like it's an ego drive, and so you're surrounded in an environment where everyone has their own sort of like drive to do something. So it's just like this giant lasagna of like everyone's dreams and wishes colliding.
Yeah.
And everyone's getting in each other's way and everyone's like, get the fuck out of the way. Dude, this environment is so oppressive.
It's oppressive.
It's so oppressive, but I feel like the way I'm approaching this, or the way I've been able to survive in New York, even just mentally, is like I take it as like, oh, this is a chance to build the resilience. This is what makes you different as a New Yorker than other people from other places. Yeah. Because it's so the shit that like you walk out the door, there's like construction going on, there's fucking birds shitting on you, there's a guy who's about to do something with the trench coat, you don't know what, but it's already, and then there's posters on the wall, like it's just so overstimulating, and it's not like everything you would want to see.
Yeah.
So that's very like subconsciously, at least, like very damaging for the rest of your day. Like if that's how you're welcomed to the world, it's like, oh, that's such a. Then you gotta climb stairs, and then like the weather's shifting. It's either too hot, too cold. It's just everything. There's so much discomfort in this. It's every place smells bad. Like, it's a very oppressive. Everything's so expensive as well. It's like crazy how like shopping for groceries now is like the same price as like eating out. And it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. I'm going to fucking just eat out then.
I'm just going to go to Chipotle and spend $20. Yeah.
And be sad with the rest of everyone. Have you been to a Chipotle?
Recently?
Like,
yeah.
Everyone's just like...
Yeah. Have you...
like,
Chipotle in New York City is an abomination. Have you ever, like, ordered... You can't even order a burrito. I was behind a lady at Chipotle recently at Union Square, and... she's in front of me, right? And she goes, I'm just listening. I always like to listen to what people are going to order, right? Because I can always tell. I like to play that game. Like, is it going to be a disaster? And I was like, do it. I dare you to fucking do it. And she goes, I'll take a burrito, please. And I go, oh, you did it. You did it. Because now what you did was you just put pressure on that burrito maker. And nobody has any burrito rolling training because Mexican food in New York City does not exist. I came from L.A. I moved here from L.A. L.A. Mexican food, they're synonymous. They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Mexicans and New York, it's not a thing. It's Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Colombians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're getting like rice and beans here. You know what I mean? It's chicken, rice, and beans. You get mofongo. You know what I mean? Like that's what you get. You don't go to Chipotle. They don't know how to roll a burrito. This lady goes up. She goes to go get a burrito. Gets chicken in the burrito. Puts like rice in it. Whatever. Goes down to the end where the guy has to roll it. Just crumbles it into like a ball.
The bottom shreds open.
Yeah, and then just puts it in a bowl and then just wraps up the bowl and then charges her as a bowl.
Cross.
Yeah, sign of the cross, blesses it with holy water. She gives him a look like, what the fuck did you just do? And he goes, I got a whole other line going, just take it home and enjoy it.
Oh my God.
Eat it with a fork. You know what I mean? You're done.
Also, within that, New York, just like the entitlement that it breeds.
Yes.
Because, like, if you're from out of town and then you find a way to survive in New York, that is already such an accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
Like, psychologically, that, like, it just builds this, like, entitlement. And was it a scene? Did she, like...
Oh, yeah, she freaked out. She's
Yeah,
like, what the hell is this?
Of course. But it's like, fuck off. This person's not getting paid worth their fucking value at all.
No, they're getting city tax on top of the Chipotle bill.
This person does not care and should not care.
Yeah.
You could fucking go in your own kitchen, which you probably have, and fucking make your own goddamn burrito. You know, like...
Yeah, the funny thing is that a Chipotle worker in New York could get away with saying that to somebody versus a Chipotle worker in like South Florida. Like a Chipotle worker in South Florida saying like, go make your own goddamn burrito. That's like, you're asking to be fired.
Someone hasn't been to the beach lately.
Yeah. But like in New York, if you're looking at him like, you're going to really give me that? They're going to go make your own goddamn burrito. And then you look for the manager's going to be like, oh, what did he say? Yeah, I agree with him. Get out. Get out. Shouldn't you be at work, you loser? Get out. Yeah. No, it is funny. New York has like that special way of making you feel like you're always behind, no matter who you are. And that's why it's so funny with like comics who like constantly think that we're in like a competition with each other, because we're not. It's like one person's doing the Tonight Show. It's like, I don't even want to be on the Tonight Show. You know what I mean? Like, that's great for that guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just trying to learn how the guy who's at an open mic with a puppet pays rent. I'm in competition with that guy.
Yeah.
That's my competition. I'm like, how are you surviving? How are you surviving? Where do you live? You live in the city? I have to live in Jersey because I can't afford $4,000 a month. You're lugging around a fucking sock puppet for $5 open mics. You're bombing your ass off, and then you still get to go home to an apartment in the Lower East Side? What are you doing better than me? That guy's winning. That guy's winning. If there's ever a race, that guy's winning the race.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. And it's not even like just comedians. It's like you were saying, like you walk outside. Like when I was growing up in South Florida, it's like you walk outside, it's like nobody's starting their day till they're at like work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of at the same pace. Like 6 o'clock, the roads are empty. 7 o'clock, you're hitting a little bit of traffic. People are dropping their kids off at school. By the time you get 8 o'clock, if you're not in school or you're not at work,
you're in traffic.
You're in traffic, or you're at home, or you're dead, or you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's it. When you're in New
Dead
York,
first, then the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You die first, then you go to the hospital.
Yeah.
But in New York, it's like, yeah, like you said, you walk outside and people are already like putting holes in the ground, and you're like, when did you guys start that?
And everyone's face is just like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you're just waking up now, you fucking piece of shit? It's fucking 7 a.m. Go to work. You know what I mean? Go to work.
Yeah, dude.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And I understand now, like, the people that, like, scream in the streets. I totally get it.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons as to like, what could cause one to just like all of a sudden be like fucking motherfucker, just screaming in the streets, and like the people that have better lives are like, huh, what's up with that guy?
Right.
Like, oh, you haven't experienced it. You're living too good of a life. You don't know what that feels like.
Right. No, you don't. But you know, and that's the funny thing. That's the funny thing about you that no one really talks about or no one really inquires about is that you are a native New Yorker. You were born and raised here. You have a story about how you were in the school bathroom in high school taking a piss.
Dude, yeah, 9/11.
Dude, you saw 9/11 happen from your high school bathroom.
Yeah,
tell that story.
It was yeah, dude. Also, my life at that point was like so fucking awful. I was like kicked out of the house for no reason, and it's not even like but my mom was just very erratic, and she just kicked me out of the house, saying like I'm too much like my father. So I'm like feeling this huge rejection. I just started. It's like the first week of high school, and I'm in this like tiny school. It was like the first year of this school. It's Frank Sinatra School of Performing Arts, and it was like it started with Tony Bennett. He like funded the school, so it was like so trippy to see this like legendary jazz crooner come into your music room and be like, hey guys, just keep on swinging. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
His jaw's
I guess
like on
I
the
was
ground.
a bad boy, and I have to live with my father who's always like working or whatever. And then like so it's like the first week of high school or something, and there's only like I think 100 kids or so in my class, and so we were in the 4th floor of like LaGuardia Community College. And that's in Long Island City. And from the position of where the bathrooms were, you could see straight to downtown Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And so you could see the Twin Towers. Mm. And I was just like using the bathroom. And I was jerking off because I was in high school. You know, I'm nasty.
As you do. You're crazy. You said it yourself. You're a bad boy. You got kicked out of the house.
So like I'm just looking through as I'm like washing my hands, and then I just see like smoke coming out of like one of the towers, and I'm like, oh shit, that's like crazy. And then like the second thing hits, and then I'm like, oh, that's really not good. And then there's an announcement, and the principal, dude, I'll never forget this. He goes like, he makes an announcement, and he goes like, ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. New York is under attack. That's the sentence. I'm like, I'm no principal, but that sounds terrible. He phrased that really badly. So there's like a 5-second moment of like silence, and then all of a sudden you just hear doors flinging open. I'm still in the bathroom, just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. You hear doors flinging open, people crying, and like you hear like people running out and stuff, and there's like a huge evacuation. And then everyone was just trying to get on the train. Like the 7 train platform was just filled with so many people, and it was just like so much panic. The energy in the air was just like so much panic, which is understandable. And also from the school, that fucking principal saying those words, it's like, yo,
yeah.
Why would you even say that? Just be like, hey, fire drill. Also, end of the day. You know, like see you at home.
Yeah.
Like do that. Lie for a little bit, and then let the panic happen outside the school. But he just like fucking just
he dropped the ball.
He dropped the ball, and just there's so much like tears and like understandably so. And I was staying at Midtown at the time, and even just in Midtown there was already such like a layer of like soot from the blast,
all the ash.
Yeah. And it wasn't like as thick as if you were downtown, but it was like, oh shit! Like I went inside and did this, and it's like, whoa, there's visibly like asbestos, like happening on my clothes. Like it was like fucking nuts. Yeah, it was just so like I was already just such in a pit of like stress and like rejection and like just that like I was just so numb to everything that was happening. Yeah, like, and then on top of that, like funny enough, this is like a travel sort of like podcast. Like a lot of people that aren't familiar with like the Middle East and like the cultures there, like they're just fucking like being racist towards like fucking like Sikhs and like Hindu, like, you know, just Indian people and just anyone that looked like a type of could be Middle East. There was just like so many people like just fucking hating like on the streets, and I was like, yo, this is so, that's not even the right culture. Like you guys are, oh my God. Like, I just saw everything fucking just crumbling.
Everything was crumbling.
But then there was like a week off of school, and I was like,
And you were like, well, there's a light
I'll take that.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
very grim.
Who's going to Rockaway this weekend, baby? Let's make our way to Montauk.
Beach?
Coney Island. Hey, come on. We got the Nathan's hot dog eating contest at Coney Island this weekend. That's crazy. Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
I want to go back to school. 9/11's going to happen again. It was like this trauma of like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck is going to happen.
No one did. I mean, I was so young. I was in kindergarten when that shit happened. So, like, I mean, I only have very, very minimal recollection. But I remember, like, just growing up and, like, seeing old clips of, like, that like, next week or the next 2 weeks, I think SNL had, I think it was George Bush or
Rudy.
Or they had Rudy Giuliani. They had
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani on, and they asked him, hey, do we have permission to be funny again? And he said, yes. And then that's kind of like when
I wish it
life
wasn't
started.
him, but I will say that was a very heartfelt moment.
Yes.
Because he represented, I guess, like,
New York.
just New York.
Yeah.
So as the voice of New York, I remember tearing up. Ooh, I'm getting a little emotional right now.
That's all right.
I remember tearing up when he said that because it was just like such a sigh of relief. Not that I liked the guy or anything, but it was just like whatever that moment that took place, it just felt I just felt such relief. And just seeing like my favorite like SNL cast members and stuff, like that whole group shot of like
That was like Will Ferrell days.
yeah, Will Ferrell days, and yeah, that was like, oh my God.
Do you think, like, you know, because in the midst of a tragedy, you were also going through like an at-home tragedy, or like
Yeah.
going
Oh
wrong.
no,
Did,
yeah.
Did you think that tragedy in a way kind of like brought your family like back together?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yeah. No. My family is not together.
Oh, really? Your mom was like, yes, you're gonna stay at your dad's house for even longer now because traffic's a bitch. So you're not leaving.
Dude, yeah. No. Like my family were never like close in that way. Like
Yeah.
I think my father and mother were already like separated at that point. I mean, they're never married, but like
But your mom like didn't call in to like check up on you.
I don't remember, and I
Really?
think it's because like I was just so numbed out.
Yeah.
Like during that time.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. No,
That's
he's
so
the best.
cool.
Patty's the best.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So okay, wait. So, damn. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that time you're in high school. So then, was that what year of high school was that for you?
First year, it was like
Freshman year.
Yeah, freshman.
Oh shit.
year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then
and I really hated high school.
You really hated.
And that's why, like, after 10th grade, I found, like, in the middle of 10th grade, I found out, like, after, like, 16 or something, you can, like, drop out.
Yeah.
And so, like, I gave, like, 11th grade, like, 2 weeks. I gave 11th grade 2 weeks. And then I just stood up in class and I was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore.
So you didn't graduate high school.
No. I got my GED afterwards.
Yeah.
And I got like really good scores to like, I was going to go to college, but at
Yeah.
the time I started producing music and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this instead.
Where do you go after you graduate?
I just got like a job. I had like a girlfriend and she was like a drug dealer. So
What did she deal?
weed and coke.
Okay.
It was fun because I got like a lot of coke.
Only the necessities.
Yeah. All the I got a lot of weed. I got a lot of coke. And I was doing it all, and I was lucky enough to be able to like live in her like apartment, her father's like apartment or something. So that's kind of like where I was, and then I just got a job from there. I was just working. I think the first job I got was like replacing weights at a 24-hour gym, graveyard shift, getting paid like $7 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so at that point, you're like 16, 17, right? And then, so by 18, I think you were like DJing by then.
Mm-hmm.
And then you decided to pack up your stuff and just move across the world?
Oh, so like I was like producing up until like 20 and stuff, and then I started doing like more like shows and stuff, and then like from there, I got a visa to live in Australia, and I just knew they had like a good music situation there, and they liked dance music, and so I just like went into that.
What city did you choose?
Sydney.
And what led you to like that decision? Like, were you like meeting a lot of Australians like in the music scene here, and they were just like, "You all
No.
Australia."
At that point, I had a girlfriend who was Australian.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
she
yeah.
told you
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to do this, Australia is the place for you.
No, not necessarily. It was like I'm going back. My visa's ending here in America, so I'm going back to Australia. And I was like, "Oh, I'll come with you."
Oh, okay.
So then I got my visa,
Right.
And then I was able. It's like a work and holiday visa, so I was able to just live in Australia for like a year
With her.
with her.
Nice.
And Australia is so fucking crazy. It feels like if like America lost to the British. Like that's how it it feels like America kind of, but like with a lot more British influence.
Right. Well, because it is a British influenced
for
country.
sure. Yeah.
Or continent, really.
Bunch of fucking ex-cons.
Yeah, they're all ex-cons. Yeah. It used to be like it's like our Guantanamo Bay for Britain, and then they got independence, and like they all
From what?
I don't even know. It's just like let's put you on
You guys were all in trouble.
I found that out while I was traveling too. Like the Australians are just dirtbags. They're just dirtbags.
Dude, they're very hardworking from what I noticed,
Yeah.
but they fucking party so goddamn
party
hard,
a
and
lot.
they drink so much.
Did you have any like going there where you like, oh, like this is what I want to see in Sydney while I'm there? Or, like, did you do any research before you went, or did you kind of go in blind?
No, I went in just blind.
Did she take you to a lot of places?
Yeah, she took me to some places, and then I also explored solo because she had a job at that point. She was like working an office job or something. So during the day, I would just like work on music, and then I would just walk around Sydney.
So, and how long did you live there?
For like a year.
A year.
And then I came back for like about a month just to
New York.
After I left for that year,
Uh-huh.
I came back to Australia for like another month
Uh-huh.
just to like chill and hang out with some people and stuff. It was such a fun experience, like as a whole.
Do you remember the first place she took you and she was like, this is something you got to see in Sydney?
No, I don't remember.
Or was there
Oh
any?
no, because like I stayed at her family's house, which
Right.
was like away from like the city proper.
Uh-huh.
But then we got an apartment
In the
like
city.
on like Elizabeth Street, which is like a 10-minute walk or a 15-minute walk to like that famous like
Opera
opera
House.
house
Uh-huh.
building. So that area is called like Darling Harbor. It's a beautiful strip of just like restaurants and shops and stuff, and then
Yeah.
like that structure is like so cool.
Yeah.
It's like Oprah's house.
Is it really?
I don't know. I just keep hearing it's Oprah's house.
Oprah's house?
Yeah, is it Oprah's house? Oh, it's an opera house.
Opera house. You idiot.
I did it. Yo, Oprah's house is sick in
I was
Australia.
like, and for a second, this is how dumb I am. I was thinking, oh shit, maybe Oprah does live in the Opera House. That's crazy.
It's like it folds out and
Yeah.
the rocket shoots off wherever she's traveling to. I got to record my show today.
She takes it right to Chicago where she used to film. I think she filmed in Chicago. I don't know, maybe in
Yeah.
Atlanta. But okay. So Darling.
So I guess that was like the
Darling
sort of
Street,
Darling Harbor.
Darling Harbor.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of like a place that like still exists today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were there like any like she was like, as an Australian local, like this is where we go hang out. Where you were like
Yeah. There's like pub culture there.
a lot of pub
And
culture.
yeah, which is pretty cool. The food in a lot of these pubs are like pretty good because like so many people go to pubs like after work because like in pub culture, at least like when I was like in Britain, I learned in England, I learned that like the pub is like the town's like living room. Like no one really hangs out with each other at each other's places. They all like the culture is so much different than like over here. Let's just get fucking smashed at the dive bar, you know? Like
Right.
that's the culture here.
Uh-huh.
At least in my experience. Over there, it's like no, we're gonna sit here for like hours and just chill
At one.
and I'll like polish off a pint, like just sip it and like just socialize and like so that is very much in Australia as well, but it has more of like a restaurant edge to it.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of the pubs there just have like really great food.
Really great food.
Yeah.
Did you notice that any like difference in like the kinds of foods they serve?
No,
Or
it's
is
pretty
it, like-
standard pub fare.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more like fish and chips is like pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of like beef like sausage rolls, which
Yeah.
are like the croissant sort of bread on the outside
Oh,
with
okay.
like a fucking weird tasting sausage in the middle.
Yeah, what's that called? Like beef
just sausage
stroganoff or like no.
Sausage rolls.
Sausage rolls.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, and then there's like the pie, the meat pie.
Meat pie.
There's meat pies that's like really big there.
Yeah. And Patty's asking about,
Oh, yes.
about the people.
Really fascinating. So I experienced like classism because I wanted to smoke weed when I was there,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, we don't smoke weed.
You can
here."
get in a lot of fucking trouble out in Australia.
Yes,
Even for like
you can.
acting drunk on the street, you get arrested.
Oh man,
And they get wasted.
they get so dude. They had to change the law in the 70s because more people were dying in their population than people being born.
Because of what?
Because of-
Alcoholism?
Alcoholism, but also like drunk driving accidents. People were just fucking colliding into each other to the point that it affected the population. That they're like, we have to stop this. They're like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, this is kind of a problem, isn't it?
How many people were born today? 10. Like, how many people died? 100. We got to change that. And then I learned that, like, so there are classes about weed, because if you smoke weed, you're like a poor bum or whatever over there. Yet on the weekend, the population at that time, I think, was like 1 million, or I don't know if that's the number exact, but let's say it was like 1 million people. Like 3 times more, like, cocaine and pingers is how they call, like, ecstasy or like Molly. 3 fucking tabs per person of Molly every weekend from Friday to Sunday. That's insane. That's how heavy they like fucking party.
They party crazy.
They party really crazy.
And you were
and they just go back to work like it's fucking nothing. They'll just be like just red faced, like bloodshot eyes. They're like, yeah, I'm in the fucking cubicle. I'm doing shit. And I'm like, holy, this is not healthy at all. And then like in between like work, lunch, and stuff, everyone's just fucking pounding beers and shit. It was like and also light beer there. It's so fascinating. Light beer over here is calories.
Okay.
Over there, light beer is a little bit less alcohol. So then, like, I was like a bartender for a bit, and they're like, I'll have a light beer. I'm driving tonight. I'm like, oh, it does not work that way. And this guy came back so many times. I'm like, you're still drinking the same amount of alcohol.
He's like, these Corona Lights over here, great. You're like, they're not like Corona Lights, buddy. You're just not going to get as fat as you think.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, dude. And then there's still such racism against Aboriginals. Over there, that there were like PSAs in the middle, like of watching TV. There would be like, we're just like everybody else. We're like human beings. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? So they're like, there's like some deep racism against like the fucking Aboriginals, that there was like still a PSA to be like, just treat us like the same. Like all we want is like equality. I'm like, yo.
People are like, shut up, bitch. The rugby game's about to start.
Yeah. At least here we pretend, you know?
Yeah, like, at least here you're like, we get to play the game. Who's that racist?
Yeah.
And then you kind of find out on the news if they're like a person of status. Over there, it's like, oh, there's your president. They go, no, he's very racist.
Yeah.
Like openly. So,
and then the economy there was really interesting, because I found out that like it was so thriving, like everything was like very well kept and maintained in the city, and that's because they had like really good economic funding. And I found out that the funding was coming from all what they call the pokies. There's slot machines in pretty much every restaurant or bar. There's like a little room where you can like smoke cigarettes and stuff.
Gamble.
And there's just like these like soul, you know, like that movie Little Mermaid, those fucking like weird like fucking leech things that are like the souls in the deep sea or something. It's just these sad characters just fucking pushing this button, but it's like feeding the economy over there. And like, yo, this is so dark, but like the city looks great. Yeah. You guys have figured it out.
Because you know what it is? It's like when you let people just explore their vices openly, the world can kind of just move on without having to like worry about you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's Jim. He's got a lot of problems. But I mean, he's not hurting anybody.
He's not hurting anybody.
You know, he's helping the streets. The streets
In fact,
look
no one's
good.
talking to him.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's talking to him because we don't really care what happens to him, because right now, as he's feeding that slot machine, he's feeding the whole town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the pay was so good. Dude, at like, if you worked, like at that time when I was there, I don't know what it is now, but like I was there like in 2012 or something. But like
it's not
as
long.
a server, it's not
Yeah.
too long, but you know, probably
a lot can happen in 11 years.
But the wage for, like, I was a server. The wage for a server was like $25 an hour.
Tips.
No tips.
No tips.
But the average tip was around 10%. People still like left a tip, like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
It wasn't like heavy tipping culture.
Yeah.
But you were compensated by your wage, and the wage was like, yo, it was enough for me to like have a fucking lavish apartment.
Yeah.
I was like just totally even with like my expenses.
And you were serving what kind at a pub?
I worked at a pub. I worked at I ran a fish and chip shop, and then like I worked at this really like bougie like Southeast Asian restaurant, and it was cool because I was like, oh yo, the food is so good. Can you please teach me? I will wash your dishes in between my shift, just to like hang out in the kitchen. So like I like learned how to make like pad thai and stuff.
Do you still know how to like?
Yeah. No, I fuck around every once in a while just to like remind myself. I'm like, I still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really great. And they're like, yeah, sure, fucking wash your dishes. And then so I'd be like washing dishes and be like, oh, we're about to make a pad thai right now. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just like hover over, had like my notepad, and just like watching how they like prepped everything.
Yeah.
And then I just learned how to make or like some very like basic stuff about like Southeast Asian cooking and like the importance of like, a wok is crazy. It's such high temperature that it, like the way the ingredients interact with that level of heat is partly why like Asian food cooked on a wok tastes so good.
Right.
Because that kind of searing is just like fucking
It's better
immense.
than any kind of cooking.
And it's like with that cuisine, you need to have like all your ingredients pretty much lined up because you have like seconds to just like put the next thing in, and then like just keep like moving it around because it'll just fucking ignite. It's like a fucking jet like engine just like shooting out a flame that's like this high. If you took off the wok, it's just
it's like Oprah's rocket flying out.
Yes, that's it, the other way though.
The other way. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Would you say Asian food kind of thrives there? Like if you're going to like get like
yes,
nice...
very much so.
Yeah.
Some of the best ramen I've ever had. And then it was like also like geographically speaking, I guess it's like fairly closer than like to the US or whatever, like so all these cultures coming in. Some of the best like different like cultures food I've ever experienced, but also just food in general. I don't know if you noticed this as well. Just the quality of food is so much better once you leave America.
States. Yeah.
Because they're just like, no, this is what a tomato is, and we're gonna grow a tomato like a fucking tomato.
Right.
Over here is like it's all founded under like business contracts. We're like, you're gonna put some nitrogen in there because we got a fucking extra nitrogen. Remember, we had that deal. It's like that's how the food is created here. So it's all conceptual over here.
Yeah.
Over there, it's like actual food.
You ever like go to the grocery store over here and like you see like a piece of chicken that's just like jacked? You're like, dude, did this piece of chicken go to Equinox? Dude. Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Because then you go over there and you're at the grocery store. It's like I lived in Scotland for a month at the Edinburgh Fringe Fest, and it's like I'm going to get groceries because you can't afford to eat out over there. But the grocery store, it's like the chicken breast is just like very thin sliced, like not much going on. And it's like, well, who's lying to me? Or are these Scottish chickens just pussies? You know what I mean? Like, but then
how much can you bench for real though?
Exactly. It's just like, they put a lot of shit in our shit. And
oh my god,
so
yeah. It's so corrupt, but it's so funny to me just how like just so mean we are to our own people.
And our animals. So you also DJ'd while you're out there?
Yeah, dude. I got some radio play. There's a radio station there called like FBI. Like I forgot what it stood for, but it was like an independent radio station. And there's another big one that was like Triple J. I think that's still around. And like one of my songs got up to like number 39 on like the indie charts and stuff. Like I didn't really make money off of that, but it was just sort of like nice that like this like nothing artist sort of like they're like, oh, we really dig your shit. And then so I got like a few just gigs throughout, and then within those gigs like I had a few more gigs from people enjoying like my set and stuff. And then like this one rich guy just fucking, he was like, how much would you charge for like a private party? I was like, 1,000. He was like, oh, that's perfect.
Oh yeah,
I was
did
like
that.
I was like 1,000.
Like I could have made way more.
But no, I was like 1,000 and like 6 pills of ecstasy. And he's like, oh, dude, I got you. No.
He's like, dude, I would have let you fuck my wife. And you're like, oh, I would love to. And he's like, well, no, you're already getting the 6.
Dude, so I get to that party and like I start DJing and immediately security comes and they're like, you can't play music that loud. And so there was no party. And I still got the $1,000, and he's like, "Oh, yeah," and the ecstasy. He's like, "Oh, here's the thing. Sorry, it didn't work out." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry too." Like I'm like counting money. Yeah, I'm so sorry as well. I feel the same way. How do you feel? Yeah, I feel that way.
You're like looking at your fingers. You're like, "Yeah, I'm very remorseful."
Yeah, but the more I count, I get more happy for some reason. Yeah, that was quite the trip.
Did you ever like open for like a cool like DJ that we like?
Yes,
we might know.
Dude, yes. D Cup. He had like a big song, Papa Americano.
Oh, that guy.
I opened for him. There was like a house party.
Yeah.
And he was like the head DJ, and he was like running late. So I got to play for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And everyone at that point, it was like the beginning of the night, kind of. And so people were getting tipsy and stuff. And then like everyone started intaking like a fucking heavy shit.
Yeah.
And I like everything I was like fucking spinning. It was just like, fucking it was like such a nice feeling just to have like a whole house. Like it was a very big house as well by like a cliff of Oceanside. Like it was really a beautiful space.
Yeah.
And I was just like fucking killing it. And then of course like my ego was fed because I was like, oh, D-Cup's coming? That's great.
Yeah, D-Cup.
I'm like, I'm doing this for him like before he comes through. I'm like, this is great.
And he's got that one song, Papalicano, beep, beep. And it's like after he plays that, it's like, can you just play that again? He's like, that's all we know.
Yeah.
Damn, did he talk to you like after? Like,
No, I never even met him.
Oh, you never even met him?
No.
Like,
Like
all right,
after,
Adam, you're good to go.
Yeah. After that, I was getting like a little fucked up at that point. That I was like, no, I'm just gonna like party off like to another. I went to like a different house or something like that. And yeah, so I never met him, but I opened for him, which was like really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think we got to wrap this up because I think we only had 40 minutes. But I guess what I want to try to do for the end of this, and this is all like testing to kind of see where we're going to go with it. And I'd love your input if you have anything. But, based off everything that you said, do you like have like one basic travel tip for anybody who's just thinking about going to Australia?
Oh, go and explore. Don't fucking trap yourself with the travel books and shit.
Yeah.
Those are written by people telling you how to experience your own experience.
Right.
Don't do that. Like, traveling is about experiencing how you, as an individual, interact with the rest of the world and to observe how people are so different, but at the same time, so the same.
Yeah.
And so that really like sheds the fear of like the anxiety of like, oh, social anxiety, this fucking made up shit of like, oh yeah, it's fucking weird talking to other people.
Yeah.
It should feel weird. And that's why you should do it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it feels less weird. And then you realize, oh, you're just a person. You're also fucking freaking out. We're both freaking out. That's great. We have common ground already. Like that is like, I think my biggest travel advice is like, don't fucking get locked into reading all about the place. I mean, of course, if you're into like history and stuff, that's one thing. But like in terms of like where to go and stuff, just move with your experience, because you'll talk to someone and be like, oh, you should go here. Like, yes, do that.
Yeah.
That's like, that makes it like so much richer of an experience than like just being like, well, Frommer's guide says, come here around 2 to 4. And no, allow yourself to be surprised. That's like, yo, we have one life. Like fucking just make some choices. There are going to be some bad ones, but then you fucking learn from that one. Like, it's just the same with anything that we do in life, right? But like with traveling, just fucking don't read the book.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a specific history or something, just fucking go.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I love you.
I love you.
It's so good to see you,
Brandon.
Dude. Yeah. One place in Australia you could go back to right now, bar or restaurant or party place.
Oh, I'd go back to the Southeast restaurant.
What's it called?
Also, it was called Sugarcane.
Sugarcane.
Yeah, I don't know if it's open now, but like, the head chef was such a meth head too. It was so funny. Like, that's how I did meth the first time, because he's like a coke head. And when I visited him, we were also like so happy to see each other. He's like, you want a fucking line in the bathroom? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take a line in the bathroom. I get to the line and I'm like looking at it. I'm like, that is not coke. It was just like big chunky crystals, and I'm like, here we go. And I'm like, oh my god, this is meth. And then I had a dinner party that I was going to, and I was like with my girlfriend at the time. I was like, just so you guys know, I think I just snorted meth, so I'm gonna be a little different.
We'll be a little weird.
Yeah.
If I start gnawing on my toes, you know why.
I was so interested in what everyone was having for dinner. Did I eat dinner? No.
Dude, well, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh, and Cairns. Cairns. It's a place in Australia. Very weird and beautiful beach area.
Hell yeah.
Cairns. Yeah.
Cairns. Guys, you heard it here first. If you're going to Australia, this is the guy to hit up. Remember to follow. Where can they follow you at?
Oh, at Adam Christopher, hard R.
And you also have a Instagram for your web series, Top 5.
Yes. Top 5 with Adam Christopher. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Be sure to check it out. As always, I'm at Brandon Oberera. I don't know what the hell this podcast has been called.
You don't have to.
And we don't know. We don't care.
We're having fun here.
We're having fun. And yeah, guys, get out there. Go travel. Go see the world. All right. See you guys later. Bye.